Hello. Welcome to the Mystic Order podcast. I'm Mary. I'm going to be the narrator of this
moderator, facilitator,
hostess with the mostest.
There we go.
Of this episode, and this episode is called the Mysties. And let's see who's here today.
This is Mystic Joanne. I am the defender mystic, and I've been doing a lot of defensing. Defensing?
Do you do defensing with a sword?
I do
defensing
defensing.
in the South.
I do
defensing.
I do more defensing with a hammer and nail, but go ahead.
I'm Marion, the dog whisperer. I've been doing a lot of dog whispering.
Awesome.
And I'm the queen, and I want to introduce our guest today. Oh, wait, she didn't show up.
How mystical. She's there, though. I know she is in spirit.
Anyway, maybe our guest will show.
And she'll tiptoe in and then suddenly mystically be here. And like I said, I'm Mary. I'm the nebulous mystic because I'm just starshine. So let's see. We usually start off these podcasts with talking about a week that was mystic. Who's got a mystic week?
I have a mystic week. It involves the guest that is not here, and that's my friend Susanna, who's visiting from Raleigh. And the thing I like about Susanna is she's the only person I know that's ever done this, but she truly and actually ran away with the circus and made it a career. And so I've added her to my cabinet of curiosity of interesting friends.
Wow. Ran away with the circus. Who else has a mystic week?
Well, this doesn't have to do with a mystic week, but I had a neighbor who ran away with the fair.
Oh.
The Chattahoochee Valley Exposition.
Oh,
No,
I don't know if that is ranking as high as the Ringling Brothers.
It was pretty rank.
But where did they go?
I don't know where
From
they
town
went.
to little town.
I mean, she came back. She
Uh-huh.
didn't run away to be in the fair. She ran away to be with the Ferris wheel man.
Oh.
That's a story, Morning Glory.
I wrote a story once about a guy that ran away to the circus after he was an adult and had sent all his children off. He always wanted to be in the circus.
It's like water for elephants.
Yeah.
Here's another mystic week.
Oh, my mystic week actually was there and just as mystically was gone. I've been having trouble. I have been having trouble getting text messages from the mystics. A group text message, and I was there bemoaning my fate with Margie earlier, another mystic, and who is on her way to Tennessee now. Anyway. And I said, look at this. I said, here I have Gail's response, and then I have Mary, but I don't have what Mary said before. And as we stood next to each other, and she showed me her trail of text, they appeared on my phone.
Oh, that is fabulously mystic.
Fabulously mystic. And
That
so,
happens between my iPod and my telephone every night.
well, this I was going to show the mystics. I was so excited to be back in the thread.
In the saddle?
And it's gone again.
That is so weird.
Well,
I
we need
know.
Mystic Margie to come back and put her phone next to yours.
She does. It was our phones were talking. I guess my phone is not talking to me. I don't know what I did.
I did have a mystic week.
Okay.
Although it's very ordinary, but I celebrate the ordinary. I found
That's a total lie.
all Columbo episodes on Tubi, and Columbo was my favorite show back years and years
Love
and
it.
years ago. And I started with season 1, episode 1, and I am going nightly through Columbo. I probably watch 2 a night.
This is going to do wonders for your crime solving.
Oh, and also you could marry my husband now. 'Cause
Does he love Columbo?
Oh,
as
he
well?
loves everything. Gunsmoke, The Rifleman, Columbo.
Well,
and
Columbo was
Well,
a
I
little
love Columbo. I don't really love the Rifleman and Gunsmoke.
what
but
about Bonanza?
No.
No, thank
Andy
you.
and Opie.
I used to
Yeah.
be married to the Cartwright brothers, but that was when I was very, very young. Now, Columbo is a different type of thing, and the decor and the fashions are just,
Right.
And
Just-
Columbo had a wacky eye.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He did.
I'm partial to people with wacky eyes.
I'm partial to people with wacky anything.
I think we all are.
I think the mystics are, yes.
So speaking of
absolutely.
wacky, for my mystic week, I've just been trying to appreciate being alive in the midst of this insane world. So I was sitting outside having my coffee in my yard, and summer in Alabama is just completely mystical. Everything is so green and it's all coming alive, and you can't even see the sky when you're in my yard. The canopy is just rich with all these green colors. So I'm looking up at the trees and feeling all at one with them and having my coffee and enjoying the bird song. And my husband comes out and he actually sits down with me and doesn't say anything, and he stares at the trees. And it's kind of unusual. Joe's usually to be found doing something goofy on his phone or watching Columbo or something. And so I was thinking, it's so nice to have Joe sitting out here with me this morning staring at the trees and the birds. And he looked at me and he goes, sitting out here in the quiet, staring at the trees, listening to birds. And I'm thinking, yeah. And he says, I feel like I'm in an insane asylum. So that was my mystic week. Lord T. Oh, goodness.
Do you have any mimosa trees in that yard of yours?
Yeah, but I try to pick them all down.
Oh, God, I love those things so much, and they're smelling so good right now.
They are, and they're spreading their seed.
Well, I'm
like a
hoping
good Catholic.
I carry my invasives down to Jernigan every time I go and sort of slip them into the dirt out there when the Motleys aren't looking.
We've got it. We've got the top 10 invasives in my yard, but we'll save that for another. Maybe we'll have a top 10
Invasives.
That'd be
just
great.
a top 10.
I dated some.
Yeah, you could do your top 10 bad boyfriends, and yeah.
That's a great idea.
So what about our Opus Corners? Who's been delving into some works of art or books?
I have just finished The Unintentional Pilgrimage of Harold Fry, which was absolutely wonderful. And I'm sorry, I forgot to write down the author, but it was just a delightful tale about a man who gets a card out of the blue from a lady he used to work with who knows she's dying. And so basically it was just her, closing things and saying, I just want you to know I valued our friendship. And he goes to write her a letter back and goes to the post office goes to his mailbox to mail it. And decides, no, I'm going to make sure it gets to her. I'm going to put it in the post office. Walks to the post office. And then he thinks, I'm just going to keep walking. And he's going to walk from her from this. He lives in the south of England. She is in a hospice in the north of England. And he just starts walking.
And what's it called again?
The Unintentional Pilgrimage of Harold Fry. And
That
it's
sounds like fun.
delightful. And the other one, I'll just pop in, is I'm finally reading The Rules of Civility.
Oh, it's wonderful.
Interesting. And mystic, which we'll get to in a minute.
Yeah.
That's
Why this is
that's my
mystic.
favorite of all
Amor Tolls.
books. That's my favorite.
Oh,
I like
really?
it better than The Gentleman of Moscow.
I am truly enjoying it. I have not quite, I piece it out like good chocolate cake. I'm only reading 2 chapters an evening so that I can make it last. It's wonderful. And I have, an autographed copy because we saw
Oh.
him in Columbus. and
I have
got-
an autograph. You went with me.
I did go with you, Gail, and you were right in front of me as we were getting him autographed.
He is a very interesting man. He's
Very
what
deep.
I would consider, and I don't say this about many people, a Renaissance man.
Very, very much so.
And
And-
that was one of my favorite readings I've ever attended.
And draws a mean martini glass. So, of course, he has my heart because I love a mean martini.
Yeah, he worked in finance or something, maybe some kind of
Yes.
business sector for 20 years before
He decided,
writing Rules of
yes.
Civility.
Have y'all said his name in this podcast?
Amor Toll.
Amor
Well,
Tolls.
Y'all heard him read, but I had to watch some interviews today, and I kept hearing it pronounced Amor.
Maybe it
could
is
be
Amor
Amor.
Tolls.
It could be Amor.
I could take a more of Tolls.
But I was going to say,
Well, it's kind of like Amor and then Towels. So some of my friends and I lovingly call him Love Towels.
Well, and I would join you because he's easy on the eyes as
Oh.
well.
What about you, Marion? What you been reading or looking at or
Well,
listening to?
I'm reading 2 books. Both are good. One is called Spillway by a former student of mine, Kim Bradley, and I've
Oh.
read about 4 of the short stories so far, and I've liked every one of them. Plus, I read one online that's not in her collection that's I also absolutely love. And I was trying to remember the name of the other book I'm reading. One of my students at Southern New Hampshire mentioned it. I think the name of it is Love Letters to the Dead.
Oh, I like the name.
And
Ooh,
I think it
yeah.
actually classifies as young adult.
Uh-huh.
But
Wait, I think I've read it.
I'm
I
like,
have read it. I liked it a lot.
yeah, I can't remember the author's name, and
I
I
can't
never
either. It's been a while, but
I never want to mention a book title if I can't give the
she's
author's
given
name.
an assignment to write
Yeah,
a love
and-
letter, and she writes it to
right, her sister
the
has
Pearl Jam guy.
well, her sister has died recently, and
Yeah.
she's having a hard. She's changed schools, and the English teacher gives this assignment, and she writes to a lot of famous people.
Okay. Yeah, I like
Yeah.
that a lot.
Yeah, I like it a lot too.
That's
but
cool. How mystical.
but
How
my,
mystical.
my work I was going to mention on the way over here. I said, Joanne, I have no idea what I'm going to talk about today. And
Save it for the Mysties.
Okay, I can't talk about this now.
Okay. We're going to save it for the Mysties.
Save it for the Mysties. 'cause
What
you
is
said
the
it was the
Mysties?
best
We'll get to
ever.
that in a minute because I want to share this mystical moment of the book that I just finished that I was going to share about how good it was, and that was A Gentleman in Moscow by Immortals.
How mystical.
And I know
You've
I'm-
come late to that book.
I know I'm late to the book, but if there's anybody that hasn't read it yet, it sure is fun. And without mentioning the plot at all, I'll just say that what I thought was so much fun about it was the old-fashioned storytelling, the omniscient
Yes.
narrator, breaking the fourth wall occasionally, and then the delightful mix of characters that come into somebody's life. And it's just everything you want a good story to be.
I
So
was going to
I
say.
know I'm late. Next, I'm going to read Rules of Civility.
And Mary, do not fuss about that because a good novel is never late.
Right.
That's right. And speaking of late, I did finish the second in my second Proust book. So I'm 2 out of 6.
You're very late to Proust, aren't you?
I'm
Yeah.
very late to
I
Proust,
think he's
but
dead.
I'm finding it laugh out loud funny. And when he made fun of people saying living their best life, I did laugh out loud. I was like, wait, I thought living your best life came from Target or one of those places that were like
Joanna
modern
Gaines.
farmhouse.
Chip and
you know?
Joanna Gaines. They
And
love it.
Proust is making fun of it back then. So I'm thoroughly enjoying Proust, but I did take a break from Mr. Love Towels. Now let's see. We're moving right along. We've got some mystic traveling here.
Yes, I went to Montreal, and I want to start off by saying that if you're traveling out of the United States, you have to have a COVID test to get back in. I don't care who you are. I think maybe Air Force One can get back in without a COVID test, but you can't. I don't care where you're going.
He has
I
one on
found
the-
this
on
out
an
the
Air Force
night
One.
before we were supposed to come back. So it was like running around like blue-ass flies trying to get a COVID test, and we did. I don't know what happens if you're positive, but I don't want to know. But while I was there, I did,
Wait. What's a blue ass fly?
you know, those flies in your window with the blue ass that buzzes around.
It's a
Oh, yeah. I
Zuzu
always think of
fly.
them as green ass flies.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, do you?
Yeah.
I haven't really looked at their ass to be
Okay.
truthful. They might be green.
Huh. All right. Well, we've all
Well,
got. If you
the
guys.
song is Blue-tailed Fly.
Oh.
There we go.
Okay. I'm sorry to
But
interrupt,
she-
but my brain was stuck. Go ahead.
on the ass fly.
Mhm.
But I just want to say a few favorite things about Montreal. And number one top was I visited Leonard Cohen's grave.
Swoon.
And you can go online, and there's all these different directions to his grave. He actually is right almost inside the gates of the Jewish cemetery on Mount Royal. But I had my picture taken there, and
well,
I will send it to our editor to put with this podcast. And if you want directions to Leonard Cohen's grave, PM me and I will give you exact directions. I will get you there in moments' time. You'll be out of the Uber and onto the grave.
And that was not being sarcastic. You know, he wrote Hallelujah, which is one of my favorite
Oh, I know. That's what everybody
songs
said. And I
ever.
put it on Facebook and all the comments. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Suzanne takes me down.
Bird on a wire.
So Long Marianne, which he wrote for me.
Yeah.
You know, I saw him in New Orleans.
How wonderful.
It was.
The
Why?
other thing I did that was mighty interesting is I went to Cirque du Soleil. I've been to a million Cirque du Soleils, but they are out of Montreal. That is their...
I didn't realize that.
their
I didn't either.
Yeah. They're on a pier. They're on St. Jacques Pier. So you have to walk a
Saint-Jacques.
pier to get to see Cirque du Soleil. I did realize that I'd seen almost all the acts. There were different acrobatics, but the one I hadn't seen is they roll this human-looking ball onto the stage, and in fact it is 3 humans,
Oh, wow.
and they unwind themselves, and then they do their their very odd act. So
Sounds like Palabalis.
this was, I think it was called Kazoo. I can't remember. I've seen a whole bunch of Cirque du Soleils. My favorite is La Nuba, which is at Disney World.
Well, I just want to say that the nickname I've always had for doing the wild thing has been Cirque du Soleil. So every time, you're talking about, I've seen all the Cirque du Soleils. I'm like, wow, Gail. So if you ever come knocking on my door and I say, sorry, I was late, I was in there doing the Cirque du Soleil, you know what was going on. And
You're too
actually,
old for all
that
this,
probably
Mary.
won't happen.
Yeah.
You're way too old for
You're going to
this.
come hobbling up to a podcast one day, and we're going to know you've been doing the Cirque du Soleil.
Yep. Okay.
I call direct eye contact Cirque du Soleil. That's as far as it goes.
Right. Sitting on the couch with 3 dogs between us. I do want to mention the missing mystic that we didn't mention is Katie, and I only mention her with a sidelong glance to my green jealous heart because she went on a riding retreat that involved riding horses every morning, and I'm so jealous and angry with her because it wasn't me, and I know that's a petty emotion, and I will get over it.
And Mary is saying both writing and riding there, the two things combined.
Which are two of my,
Mary's
Was there any
favorite
drinking
things.
involved?
I don't know. Coffee would be fine if you can get up and ride.
I used to go to a fox hunt in Pulaski, Tennessee, and I didn't ride, but I always made it to the breakfast where there were lots of Bloody Marys. So
Yeah.
I was going to say, and in Alabama,
my
you
fox
don't
hunting
dare.
included having drinks.
Yeah, all of that.
You cannot
As long as you don't have to
ride
hunt
your
a
horse
fox.
after you're drinking. You can be DUI on a horse. Did you realize that? Yeah.
You
know,
can't
a
be
horse-
DUI walking in Auburn.
Well, you can't be DUI. You can be
Well,
publicly intoxicated, but if you ride a bicycle, a car, or a horse, the Alabama law says that you can be driving under the influence.
They also say that you can't, when you're doing yoga in the school, that you can't mention any of the names of the movements or say namaste.
Right.
That's an Alabama law, which I think is a pretty clever one. How can one not say namaste? I don't know.
I don't know. Well, everybody eats. Let's see.
How
Joanne,
clever.
what do you have to tell us about Mystic Bites?
I don't go out to eat very often, but my sister Carol did a wonderful favor for me. And so we had dinner at Orisha the other night,
Yeah.
and it was excellent.
That's a restaurant here in Auburn,
Yeah.
Alabama, which is where we
What did you
are
eat at
located.
Orisha?
I ate the pochetta de Orisha, which was a slow roasted pork, and they had Brussels sprouts roasted. It was yummy, yummy, yummy. My husband had the snapper, and it was yummy, 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 because, I can't sit next to my husband while he's eating something without tasting it.
Mhm.
And my sister Carol had the ravioli, and it was yummy, yummy, yummy.
Nice.
Oh, that's
So
good.
it was just very elegant, I was just enthralled with more than
Was
the
this your
people.
birthday?
No. It was for Carol for a favor that she did for me.
Oh, how
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah. Well,
Speaking of birthdays, my diamond birthday is coming up, fans. And the only thing I'm accepting for my diamond birthday is diamonds. So if you'd like to send me a diamond, just let me know and I'll give you the address.
Or, isn't there an alternative?
Yeah, nothing.
Right.
Send me
Diamonds or
nothing.
nothing.
Yeah, I don't want
diamonds or
anything but diamonds.
Marion, what you been eating and drinking lately?
I went on after the fiasco at the luncheon that Gail had.
What was the fiasco? The bacon?
No,
yeah,
no,
you should
no.
tell us about the fiasco.
Oh,
What happened?
My water bra
Oh, that's right. Forgot.
sprung not one but 2 leaks. The left cup went first,
Your cups runneth over.
and I thought I had held the orange juice jug too close to my jug, and
What jug?
the left jug, she just explained.
the left side of my beautiful estate sale vintage dress was soaking wet.
A Lily Pulitzer at that. It was lovely.
And so I thought I'd held the orange juice too close, and we were sitting at the table with our guests and the other mystics, and all of a sudden I glanced down, and the right side, there was no orange
Really?
juice.
What exactly is a water bra?
The cups are filled with water and oil so that they actually feel like the real thing to any stranger bumping up against you on a bus
Or grabbing you.
or grabbing you. And they make you look nice in your clothes.
Uh-huh.
But apparently they disintegrate
Over time?
when one retires and doesn't wear them for 5 years but keeps them in a drawer.
This is one of the things that COVID did to you.
What?
You know, everybody's saying how COVID changed my life. Well, it ruined your water bra.
I
It
guess it
ruined your
did. But you know,
living.
COVID didn't ruin my life at all. Something that preceded COVID made me crazy. COVID did not.
Oh.
But I thought about that a lot last night. It wasn't COVID that made me nuts. But
Well, did you get the stains out of that lovely dress?
yes, there's still one faint line of demarcation, and I could put it back in the sink with more Dawn.
But wait, this was leading up to something.
What happened to the water bra?
I threw all the water bras, the black ones, the white ones, the clear straps, the cloth straps, all of them went in the garbage.
How many water bras did you have?
Probably had 5.
Gosh, I've never had 5 bras at a time. I'm doing something wrong.
Well,
I have
Mary,
no
this is
bras
a
right
woman
now.
that's worn her dress for 100 days in a row. I'm not surprised. You
Oh, we're
probably
going to
don't
get to that.
Okay.
Don't spoil my thunder.
The bra
I
that I
mean,
have on now is the only one I have left.
she's got skulls on her bra. It's cute.
It's from a long time ago.
Have y'all noticed how often we talk about bras on this podcast, starting with
We're
Margie?
women.
Well, yeah, okay.
Now, Marion, I asked about your
Food?
eating and
Okay.
drinking.
I think
Okay.
it came up to Mystic
Okay, well,
Bites.
that day when I realized I have no bra to turn to, and therefore I'm going to look like my stomach is too big in most of my clothes, I decided to go on a diet, which I've not stuck to 100%, but I've stuck to 85%.
Uh-huh.
And it is cottage cheese and avocado, ricotta with walnut and blueberries and a drizzle of honey, and salmon baked in the oven, served
I
with
love salmon.
arugula
Ooh.
and lettuce and tomato. And
Where do
so
you get arugula this time of
I
year?
get arugula from my friend the Langleys, except I'm afraid the arugula has gone dry now.
I think there's more down there if it's still living in the refrigerator. You can have all you
Well,
want.
thank you ever so
Do you
much.
eat the same thing every day on your diet?
That's what I had been doing until I ran out of all of it. and I have not eaten today, and I'm starving. But the thing I was going to mention under Mystic Bites, because I was composing this broadcast in the car with Joanne on the way over here, we passed by a house, and she said that was her friend's car. And I said, that's where my friend Carolyn Brown used to live, and it is the first place I ever had bourbon milk punch. And I must say, bourbon milk punch is probably the best tasting. I love black coffee, but it's one of the best tasting things I've ever had.
How do you make bourbon milk punch? I've never even heard
Doesn't
of it.
Sheila make bourbon milk punch?
And I got her recipe. But, yeah, the first I ever had was Carolyn Brown's. And I used to make it when I was more careful with what I put in my mouth than I am now. I used to make it with nut milk. And with
So
nut
it was
milk,
nut milk punch.
nut milk and bourbon and a simple syrup.
You could probably kill a friend or two with nut milk. Was it almond milk?
No, I don't do almond. What I do now is oat.
We do
Oh,
oat.
Oat is not a nut.
I love
Nope,
oat
It's
milk.
plant milk.
But I used to a long time ago, back before we had so many milks available to us, I bought soy milk. Of course, I quit doing that when oat milk and pistachio milk and other milks came out. I don't like almond milk very much, Gail, so you're safe at my
Oh,
house.
good.
But yeah, that would be my Mystic Bite, bourbon milk punch. So good.
Okay, well, maybe we'll dig up the actual recipe and maybe someone will put it online. And Sheila, if you're listening, you can always post it to our Facebook
or you
page.
could make it and bring it to us.
Yeah, that's even
There's
better.
an option.
Even better.
Well, I have 2 things to say in Mystic Bites. The first one was I had all the Mystics over for a brunch because my boyfriend Jordan was here, and he's a vegetarian, and most of the Mystics are vegetarians. So instead of making 1 quiche Lorraine, which calls for bacon, I made 2, 1 without bacon, 1 with, and this was a lot for me to make 2. But anyway, so I get ready to serve them. They're ready. And I look at all my vegetarians, and I said, I've made you quiche Lorraine vegetarian, and then I also have 1 with bacon. Who wants the 1 with bacon? Every hand in the room goes up.
Everything's better
Yeah.
with bacon, Gail.
Yes, but vegetarians aren't supposed to eat bacon.
I thought
Which-
Jordan was a
so-
strict vegetarian,
so-
too.
Bob and I, who are meat eaters of the worst kind, had to eat the vegetarian quiche Lorraine while the Mystics ate our bacon quiche Lorraine.
And
So
I have worried so much about that since that day.
you have
I
not.
have. I really have. I thought that was horrible of us. My only excuse, and it's not good enough, is I was in distress over my water bra.
So I ate the
I
bacon.
didn't even know what question I was answering. But after I got home and my brain came back into the real world, I thought, we ate up the bacon quiche and left the Langleys to eat the vegetarian one. That's horrible. of
We're
us.
horrible meat eaters. Our company has had barbecue pork, barbecue chicken, barbecue raccoon, barbecue snake. For all our meals are barbecue something, and then we just add potato salad and a green bean salad. I took her to Beyond the Walk today and made her promise she wouldn't tell her husband that I made her eat Southern barbecue for 4 straight days.
Oh, Lord.
But I have
Gail-
one other thing I want to
but
say at Mystic
Gail,
Bites.
But Gail, now, and I know you ate that, and what did you say about the non-bacon
I was
quiche?
just trying to make y'all feel better.
Oh, never mind. She lied and said it was better than the bacon quiche.
Oh. Well, you could have brought it to me. I hadn't had bacon in 5 years. Or
Well,
any pork
obviously
of
they
any
hadn't
kind.
You
either.
get a Misty.
I get a Misty.
You
Good for you.
absolutely get a Misty.
Well, my second Mystic Bite, and I know I'm only supposed to have one, but I have to tell this. When I was in Montreal, I had dinner on the 44th floor of Villa Marie, which was the very strange high-rise.
Ooh.
It was overlooking the St. Lawrence Seaway and most of Montreal. It was beautiful. And I ordered a shepherd's pie, and I've never seen anything like it. It was like baked, like they use at the Waffle House, that little circle they put it was baked in one of those. And it had high grade, some kind of beef in it, and a lovely potato combination. And then they had put together they had whisked corn and real cream and poured it over it. So it was unidentifiable. In fact, when they served it, I wanted to say,
This is not what I
is
ordered.
this shepherd pie? But
Right.
I thought I didn't want them to know I was a Yahoo. So I didn't. But anyway, I never take pictures of my food and put them online, ever. But I did. And I asked all my fans, could they identify this dish? Well, Bartholomew Robert Smith, who's our big fan,
Yay, shout out Bartholomew.
she won.
Woo!
She knew. She immediately said it's shepherd's pie.
Huh.
And I just couldn't
Ooh.
believe it, And I said, have you been to this restaurant? And she says, only online to look at the menu today. Don't you love a cheater? I just love a cheater.
That's not cheating. That's being resourceful.
I know it. I thought it was wonderful.
Galumbo would have done that.
So I'm going
Galumbo
to
would have
shout
done
out
that in
with
a
my
heartbeat.
Mystic Bite to our fan. We have 2 fans, really, but
Woo-woo.
I think Bartholomew was our first fan. But
Lovely.
it was absolutely delicious.
I think we have some closet fans out there.
Yeah, they
Y'all
won't
know who
say.
you are. I actually have a Mystic Bite.
Oh, that is amazing.
It is
Is it the ice
Yeah.
cream I brought to your house?
in a way, yes. So I had the Mystics over for dinner, and I don't enjoy cooking, and so we just had sandwiches. But I just want to remind you that summertime is a great time to just whip up little cucumber sandwiches and pimento cheese sandwiches with a Wickles pickle, and for your meat eating friends, a little chicken salad with a little bit of lettuce. I mean, it was a perfect dinner, and Marion brought some cheese and crackers, and Margie brought her delicious garden salad, and Gail brought this ginger mango ice cream concoction with
lemon.
lemon.
Lemon
That's right,
mango,
lemon mango
with
with-
white chocolate chips.
Oh my gosh. And
my
ginger, thin
goodness.
ginger snaps or
To go
ginger
with it.
wafers from Trader Joe's. And it was the best dinner because none of us felt sick, or we wouldn't have if we hadn't eaten so much dessert. But it's such a good summer dish. And I was trying to be cute like they are at the Hound and put my water in a wine bottle. And Margie kept pouring herself another glass of white wine, and then she go, oh, shoot, it's water. So don't trick your friends.
Why
Oh,
did you
dear.
glance at me when you said my friends that eat meat? Because obviously I'm the vegetarian in the bunch.
Yeah, but you like your meat. You serve it to all your friends, you said.
Mm-hmm. I do.
Mm.
And now that I know they eat it, I'm not going to be making any more mushroom pies for you girls.
Well, we have the opposite problem in my house because Joe and I eat so little meat, and then our TP friend, TP Joe, is such a carnivore, and he's like, why do I live in this house with these damn vegetarians? And so we have to call friends and say, are you feeling carnivorous? Come eat this animal that Joe's cooking on the grill. So, mystery animals. All right, well, this brings us to our topic. And we would play music for you, but we'll get kicked off of YouTube if we do. So
Only we can play 8 seconds of it.
So does anybody know the Academy Award music offhand? Does it go like this?
No, that's our music. That's our music.
That's
I think it's
How about Pomp and Circumstance? Da, 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 da,
well, anyway, with
da.
all this award hoopla going on and people jumping up and down and punching each other on these award shows and everybody making this big deal, we thought we would have our own award show.
Yes.
Please don't slap me when I do mine.
I promise not to punch,
If
slap.
you promise not to make fun of her husband, I think she'll do that.
Well, all's fair. So we're going to give out Mysties today, and I know that everybody is just at the edge of your seat wondering who's getting the Mysties
And what is a
and why
Mystie?
are they getting Mysties? And so Mysties are just like the mystics, and they're nebulous. Whatever we feel like awarding an award to, we're going to do that. There
that
are
like
no
play-
categories.
Is it like play Misty for me?
It's
It-
like
yeah,
an Oscar.
it could
except
be.
Oh, it's an
a
Oscar.
an
It's our Oscar.
It's our Oscar. The
Or
Yes,
Emmys.
our
Emmys
version of
or-
an Emmy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or a Grammy.
Or a Grammy. That's what I was thinking of, the Emmys and the Grammys and the Mysties. So let's see. We just thought we'd just go around and share some things that we've encountered in our lives that we think deserve a Mystie. Let's start with Joanne. Who are you awarding?
Well, you know, we are the mystic order of East Alabama fiction writers, but there have been other mystics before us. and
Really?
yes,
Like Sufis?
Just a few. St. Francis of Assisi, St. Clair.
Oh, now the Catholics
I
coming
know.
out.
Well, give me a Baptist mystic. Give me one, and I will tell you about her or him. Okay. So,
Marion, surely you know a Baptist.
Now we're about to come to blows over the Baptist mystics. Carry on, Joanne.
that's right. Or a Methodist mystic, for that
I
matter.
don't think I even know a Baptist.
Much less a mystic Baptist.
All my Baptists
Or a
quit.
Universalist mystic. But one of my favorites, and St. Teresa of Avila and John of the Cross actually are my two favorites because they're from Spain, and I just enjoy everything Spanish. But one of the ones that I got reading about, and I thought she could be a mystic order of East Alabama fiction writers, it is
Ooh.
Hildegard
Of course.
von Bingen.
Of
and
course.
And she was in the 1000s. She lived from 1098 to 1179. But this wonderful woman, she was an abbess of I think a cloister even. But she believed in very modern things. And one of them was, well, she played a musical instrument. She exercised regularly.
Oh.
Yes. And she loved reading. She loved studying. She loved taking warm baths. I'm thinking, we like this woman.
Did you say exorcised or exercised?
Exercise, like lifting weights, running.
Tai
in
Chi.
place.
Except she was lifting statues out of
lifting
the...
statues.
I thought you said exercised, and then it was followed by a warm bath.
Let's get rid of these demons and then we'll
Lifting
bathe.
fonts.
Circle what's wrong.
Getting rid of demons is a sweaty job.
I-
But one of the wonderful things that she did was she wrote a book called Healing Plants, and Marion would love this because she put all plants into a hot category, a warm category, or a cold category. And so depending on how you were feeling, she would tell you what plants that you should eat. And basically, isn't that what we do today? I mean, Marion was just talking about how much better she feels if she does not
That's what
partake of.
Chinese medicine.
Exactly,
Right.
it is
as
Chinese
well.
medicine. And so
Right.
she was somewhat of a Renaissance woman even before the Renaissance.
And this is St. Hildegard?
this is St. Hildegard von Bingen. She was
Von
Swedish,
Bingen.
I believe. Yes.
So I think we have our own patron saint.
Oh, yeah, I think she could
This
be
is
very
awesome.
much.
I want our patron saint to be Baptist.
Okay.
Well, you
get
go
me one.
digging. Anybody out there, you could nominate a Baptist mystic saint
Give me
for us.
one. Give me one. I'll be glad.
All right, so our first Misty today goes to
Hildegard
Hildegard.
von Bingen for being a mystic in the 1000s.
Dang. All right. Mary, do you have a Misty to award today?
Well,
that was fabulous,
Gail's
Joanne.
already mentioned Bartholomew, one of our Misty. I think she should receive a Misty for being such a loyal fan. But I want to
Absolutely.
also mention Dean Bonner.
Yes.
He's probably our very first fan, and he
Listens to our podcast.
he listens to our podcast. I get
He thinks we're funny.
he thinks I get messages from him. I've gotten at least two this week. The first one was, next time there's a big rain, let me know, and I'm going to bring my new metal detector to your yard, and we're going to find something in your yard.
Oh.
And then today I got one that had a woman dressed all in black. Well, her dress was slit up the side, and she had on black fishnet hose, and she the advertisement was, for such and such an amount of money, I'll show up at your funeral and not tell anybody how we knew each other.
I love
So
it.
they'll have and he said, this is what I want you to do for me if I die before you do.
Nice.
So
It's kind of a Harold and Maude thing.
yeah, I guess so.
And so he's also a writer, and he is
Dean's an excellent writer and has a wonderful voice for for speaking. He reads well. He reads his work well, which all good writers don't. But
and
Dean
his
does.
book is I talk slower than I think.
Yeah.
Did I say it
Yeah.
right? And he's also integral to the kind of the art scene going on in Camp Hill. Am I
Mhm.
right?
Yep.
Is there an
Yeah.
art scene in Camp Hill?
Yeah, thriving.
Well,
Well, he got those monks. Helped get those
Oh,
Tibetan
yeah,
monks.
that's right.
That's pretty artistic.
I went to see those monks.
And he's
too.
renovating buildings up there,
Yeah.
saving
Yeah.
buildings in Camp Hill.
That's nice.
So our second Misty is to Dean Bonner.
Yay,
Congratulations.
Dean Bonner.
Do, 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 do. All right, thank you, Marion.
Well, my Misty goes to the Prime Minister of New Zealand, Jacinda Ardern, because after the mass shooting at Christchurch, where 51 Muslims were killed in their mosque, she immediately passed laws and collected and bought back all the assault weapons, rifles in New Zealand. And
Awesome.
yes. And why that doesn't seem to be, I mean, I think praying's good if you're a prayer, and sympathy's good if you're a sympathizer, but it seems to me that the best way to stop mass murders is to take the mass murder machine away.
Seems that way to me
Yes.
too.
You left off thoughts and thinkers.
yes.
Thoughts and prayers. People, they might pray. I have no idea. I'm not going to pass judgment on that, but they certainly don't think.
She also shut down the content on social media that causes people to get riled up enough to use an assault weapon. So she's been doing the tours of the late night shows, which we tape because we go to bed at 8. And she's an amazing woman. So my Misty goes to Jacinda Ardern.
Yay,
Yay.
congratulations, Jacinda. Thanks, Gail. This
Dean,
is
you're in
fun.
good company here.
I know. We've got a saint. We've got Dean. We've got the Prime Minister. And now my Misty is going to a cephalopod. So you are all in really good company. And it's not just any cephalopod. My Misty is going to the Australian cuttlefish. And it's in the category of the most interesting sex life. So back to the
Ooh.
Cirque du Soleil we go. So here's the deal.
just gonna say.
Cuttlefish, as you know, they are so incredible. They're incredible with their camouflage and their color changing, like octopuses. They're just amazing. The Australian cuttlefish, though, have a particular way of doing their wild things. So they get together once a year, and the females and males are different. The males are larger, and the big arms, they have these two particularly big arms, the males do, that flow out like mustaches. They're very funny looking in that way. They have these oversized arms, as well as their other arms that drag along behind. And they're different colors. So the males are clearly different colors than the females. And when it's time to breed, they do it one day a year. The females get one day.
Is this in the Sargasso Sea?
It's out in Australia, and I can't point to where. But no, it's not out in the Sargasso Sea where the sea turtles are hiding out. So anyway, they the males are all trying to, be the one to share their sperm with the females. And I'm not going to say that they inseminate them, because that's not exactly what happens. What happens is this. The males bump up onto the females. They bump heads really hard. And then the males shove packets of sperm into the females' mouths or into the sides of their bodies. The females collect the sperm and hold on to it. Now, the females can remember which males gave them which packets of sperm. The females will then go lay their eggs and select the sperm to fertilize the eggs. It's external fertilization, but it is selected by the females.
You go, girl.
So I'm already just so enchanted with this Cirque du Soleil. I can hardly stand it. But wait, there's more. Some of the males aren't as big and tough as the others. And, of course, the big tough guys are, like, guarding their females, and they do these things like try to shove water down into the females' mouths to wash out the other guy's sperm so that only their sperm, they're just total jocks. Well, what if you're not a big male? Here's what they do. The little males?
They buy flowers.
No, it's better. They tuck their long tentacles, those big long ones, they tuck them up underneath so that they don't look like they have them. And they change colors. They cross-dress. And they look like females. And in that way, the males let them get close, into the little female pod. So they sneak up, they stealth sneak up, and then bang heads with the little females and give them their sperm packets. Okay, so I'm thinking this is off the charts. But wait.
It sounds like a fraternity party at the university.
There's more. Usually in nature, the big horns get the babes or the showy tails. Guess
Big
which
bank account.
Well, yeah. So guess which sperm is more often selected by the females?
The sneaky one.
The cross-dressing sneaky sperm, the crafty sperm. Additionally, the females don't really like the mating ritual. Can you imagine? And they reject about 70% of the typical males, but they only reject about 30% of the cross-dressing males.
May I say that human females could learn a lot from this?
So could human males.
Well, yeah.
My question is, who interviewed the female cuttlefish to find out what she liked and what she didn't like?
Well, they didn't actually interview her. They just very carefully examine the behavior. And
so how do you know they don't like this?
Well, it doesn't. We don't. The word "like" is a human word that I put onto it. They select the other sperm more often.
They
and so,
seem to prefer it.
Yeah,
yes.
They select it more. They consistently do it. So like is a
probably the sneaky one spends more time with her.
I don't know. The ritual looks pretty much the same. And I'm going to give a Mick Mystie to my friend Brian Ward, who's one of our Stelp fans. And he's kind of part of your family.
Yes, he is.
And he turned me onto a podcast called Ologies, where I learned about that. And in the narrator of that podcast is named Allie Ward. Don't y'all have an Allie Ward in your family? But it's not.
No,
it's
we
not
have
your.
an Allie, but not an Allie.
Oh,
Ward.
okay.
Yeah.
So anyway, Mystie. My first Mystie goes to the Australian Australian cuttlefish for an outstanding lesson in sex.
Well, and this is brought to you by our nebulous mystic who knows all of these wonderful scientific facts.
These make my world go round.
I know it does.
So let's see. We've got time for another round of Mysties.
All right. Well, I couldn't resist. I want to give a Mystie to the best mystic road trip ever.
Oh, good.
And it wasn't the ones y'all probably think of. The mystics have gone on several road trips. We have been to Mississippi. We have been to North Alabama, South Alabama, and every bit of Alabama in between.
And 4 streets away. Don't forget that.
And 4 streets away. But one of the more interesting and chuckle-provoking
is
trips.
To go to Columbus, Georgia?
Yes, ma'am. Even the Mysties know that this is the best road trip ever.
Well,
We
tell
were
us
late.
about it.
We were late by how long?
Just an hour.
I forgot all about it. Tell us about it, Joanne.
And we were going, Mystic Mary was driving, and Gail was her co-pilot and had the GPS, thank goodness.
And you had the map.
I did not have the map. I was
Someone in
the
back seat. Somebody in the back seat had the map.
No.
I don't think
Miss
we had a
Judy,
map.
We did not have a map is the problem. So we're riding along, and if anybody knows the geography of this area, we were heading down I-85, and I'm thinking we're going to Flannery O'Connor's house. So when we pass by Valley, Alabama, it doesn't strike me as anything odd, when actually we were trying to get to Columbus, Georgia, and should have been going down 280.
We
To-
were
wow,
going to
what was our
Carson
destin-
McCullers' house.
And
Yeah.
Carson
McCullough.
McCullers' house, and our
Mystic
elegant,
Emeritus.
elegant mystic Judy very quietly says, "Well, I've never been to Columbus, Georgia this way before."
Marion wasn't with us.
No,
I was
She
already
was
there
wondering
reading.
what in the
Yeah.
world.
She was, yeah.
she was there waiting on us and doing her tap dance and her song routine, waiting on these mystics that were showing up. And by the way, we were going for a reading, and we were the stars of the show.
We were the only
But now-
readers.
And there was
Yes.
food prepared. Beautiful,
yes,
wonderful
beautiful,
Yes,
food.
wonderful
we ought to give
food.
a Misty to the cook.
Now, Joanne, as I
Absolutely.
remember, that's not where it ended.
No, it continues.
So what happened next?
So what had happened was Gail has her GPS, and we do not backtrack. I am sorry. We are not going to turn around and go
Well,
exactly
you
the way
can't
we
on the
came.
interstate anyway.
Well, we could have done a little loop-de-loop. So we get off at the next exit, which is Valley, and we go cross-country through many little towns and many little
Where they
places.
produce cocaine.
And
Wait,
meth.
No. It was the meth that
It
we
was
were worried
meth.
about. Cocaine users are pretty sophisticated and laid back. But as we
Well,
went,
meth users are killers.
Well,
meth
we might have
users-
run into one.
meth users will kill you
And blow up your trailer,
and
too.
blow up your trailer too. As we were going down, and we kept getting off of these roads, and it was turn here, turn there, and all of a sudden we're on a dirt road, and there were people. It's kind of like Deliverance. There were people out on the front porch.
Everyone's coming
And didn't
out
you-
to
did
see
you-
a car drive.
Did you hop out of the car and get directions?
No. Mary was going to say, "Let me just stop here and ask directions." But I could smell ammonia, and I was going, "Mary, just keep driving. Just keep driving."
Actually, Joanne, as I remember it, we couldn't keep driving. That we actually ran into
Ran
somebody's
out of
house,
road. We
and then
did.
it was like the GPS was like, "You've arrived," and we were like, "Just put the car in reverse and back up."
Slowly out.
And we
Yes.
eventually
Uh-huh.
got there, and your GPS had some hilarious setting, and it wasn't the scenic view, but it was a synonym
It was like
for the scenic view.
see meth
And-
country first.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was very
It's
embarrassing
that
when we finally
same
got there.
GPS has taken me places I don't even know about. I was in Toronto, and
It-
we had the GPS, and we ended up in some Canadian's backyard.
There you
Mhm.
go.
We actually went down their driveway, and they're standing.
So you have like a getting to know your neighbor GPS,
That
where it doesn't
one,
actually
yeah.
take you where you're going. It just takes you to some random person's house. Well,
That
that's
is it.
good. So a
So
road trip.
who is the
Best.
Misty going to the road trip?
the best mystic road trip ever.
Ever.
There you
Okay.
go. So
Absolutely.
now we've got
They've got a
a
mystic.
road trip added to our Mysties. Awesome. That was a fun memory, Joanne. Marion, you got another Misty?
Well, on the road trip over here, after Joanne picked me up, she brought up the topic of tattoos.
Oh, good.
And I said, my favorite Flannery O'Connor story is Parker's Back. Have you ever read that? It has to do with tattoos. And she said, there's you another Misty. So
Ah.
I'm going to give a Misty to Flannery O'Connor's short story, Parker's Back.
I don't even know it. Can you give us a little bit of why does it deserve a Misty?
Well, all of her work deserves a Misty, but because Joanne brought up tattoos, in this story, there's a man who has turned down every woman who's ever been attracted to him, and then he meets a holiness woman that doesn't believe, she's a strict, joyless woman, and she doesn't approve of his tattoos. And so he decides he's going to get a tattoo that she will approve of. Because for some reason, the more she pushes him away, the more he is the moth drawn to the flame. And
That's always
Exactly.
true.
a flame she is definitely not.
That is always true. Reject them and they're in love with you.
Yeah.
But anyway, I'm not going to give away the
Yeah,
story.
yeah, yeah. I'm
but
starting to think I might have read
Yeah.
it now that you.
And to
yeah.
add to, because our Marion is a teacher, and she has taught many, 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 many stories. But this one, she had mentioned to me that this was one that she really enjoyed, and so that's why
Yeah.
I suggested it be a Misty.
So we've got a short story in our Mysties now.
yeah,
Yeah.
got
Now-
a short story in Colombo, and
I think American Masters did. We recently watched a
Recently.
really good Flannery O'Connor documentary. I think it was American Masters.
I think it was PBS anyway,
yeah,
because
yeah,
I watched it
PBS.
too. It was
fabulous.
very good, wasn't
So
it?
much footage. I'm such a nerd. I love these documentary films that they're putting out now, that, especially when they're an hour long and you can
Mhm.
watch the thing. But the footage that's been salvaged, I guess, it's just amazing. Okay, Misty time from Gail. Gail
All
presents
right.
another Misty.
I'm giving a little background on this Misty.
Okay.
Mystic Katie, who is obviously not here, and I went on a trip to Tucson, and we stayed in an Airbnb, and it was owned by this amazing couple. And the last night we were there, they invited us to their beautiful adobe home for gin and tonics. And the wife, who'd been a movie star, and the husband who'd been even more interesting than that, but I don't think I can talk about what he did for a living.
Damn.
Because
They'd have to kill you.
they'd have to kill me. But anyway, she sat down at the piano and played this beautiful piece of music. And it was like this wonderful night with interesting people and then this beautiful music. And when I got home, I wrote them a note. I know nothing about music, nothing. I wrote them a note and asked them what was the name of this piece of music. And I never heard from them. I think I've mentioned that I'm learning to bang the keyboard.
Now,
And-
Gail.
And
Gail.
I'm into my 6th month of playing the keyboard, and I started listening to some classical music on YouTube, thinking I might find that music, and I did. It's the most popular of all of Beethoven's music, and one reason is, and it's taken me probably a month to learn it. It says the reason this is so popular is because just anybody can play it.
Oh, dear. Well, what is the piece?
Well, that's what I'm going to tell you.
Okay.
The piece is Für Elisa, which everybody
For
calls for Elise.
Yeah.
I started thinking about how every single person, and people were, I was telling someone in the pool about it. She said, my grandchildren play that.
Right.
Anyway, I thought, I'm going to look this up. And as it turns out, the piece Beethoven wrote for someone he was madly in love with, and her name was Theresa, not Elise. And he
But
was
first Elise.
he was
So good.
he was smitten with her, Theresa Malfatti. So he was going to write this piece for her and play it at a party and then propose marriage. And he gets there and they've got really strong drink and he gets drunk out of his mind. And not only can he not play the piano, he can't remember to ask her to marry him.
Oh, dear.
But he did give her the piece. He called it Bagatelle. I'm probably pronouncing that wrong.
Bagatelle.
When she died, they found the original piece, and his drunken script, they thought it said für Elisa, but it's really Teresa. So it's been misnamed.
I'm glad to have the backstory.
Yeah,
I
the
never knew the
backstory.
backstory. I think I can play the piece. But,
Can you? Well, I can too. I can too. And I think it's so beautiful. And I was like so proud of myself till my swimming companion said all of her grandchildren played it.
That doesn't make it any less beautiful.
It is beautiful.
It is a beautiful piece.
And so I'm giving my Misty to Beethoven.
Awesome.
Yes, excellent.
Go Beethoven. You deserve a Misty. Thanks, Gail. I never knew that backstory, and I'm glad you told us, because now we know. I think we have room for one more kind of quick round of Misties. Everybody ready to do like a lightning round?
Yes.
Okay. I'm going to give a lightning round to the island of Mauritius, where they have no official language, no race riots, police don't carry guns, employment is 100%, and literacy is 98%. They are a pluralistic nation of many cultures. I'm not going to bore you with the history of it, but they are intentionally pluralistic, not just diverse, which means you have a lot of people, but pluralistic, which means you work with all of the different types of people to become something greater than the sum of your parts. So, as a global example of cultural integration and plurality. Speaking of literacy, I'm giving a Mystie to the island of Mauritius, which is off the coast of Africa.
Yes.
Well, it was my understanding in the car
Yes.
that you were going to give a Mystie to Quipper.
Oh yeah, I was going to give Misty.
So
to
y'all
Best
planned your
Pets.
podcast today coming here in the car?
She had hers all written out. I didn't think I was going to be here today, but Chris
we were
left
gonna
early.
we were going to give a. and
Is
I will
Quipper okay?
Quipper is fine. She's had her moments, but she's 15 years old, and
I
that's
used to
like
own
90
Quipper.
98 years old, and yes,
In his first in Quipper's first life, he was Euripides, and I owned him.
and that's why I was going to give a Misty
Well, it
to
was
the
a she.
best pet ever.
Aw.
But I knew that there would be a lot of controversy.
Now we might
amongst
come
this
to
group.
blows.
Right.
Yeah.
Then I was
Yes.
going to chime in and give a Mystie to every dog, everywhere, always, and forever, because I think they're the
Absolutely.
best of the entire creation.
I will second your Misty.
Well,
All right. Do you have a lightning round, Misty?
I have 3 quick ones. I'm giving a Misty to the Auburn Drake School crossing guard because
Yes.
she's got the Mr. Penny in her.
Yep.
And she
I love
throws
it.
kisses, and she makes
Wonderful.
everybody's dreary Monday morning happy, including ours. Bob came home and got her a loaf of bread and took it back
I
to her.
love it. Thank you. And I know who you're talking about, so thank you.
And the second, and her name is Kaisha.
Okay.
And the second one is I'm giving a Misty to everyone that lessens their carbon footprint by not having their cup of coffee that involves heating a piece of plastic in a pot. So
You're talking
if
about
you-
Keurigs?
Yeah, all of them.
How about my carbon footprint that I squished this morning by riding my bike instead of my car?
Wait, what do you mean all of them? I use the Mr. Coffee. I just have a filter.
No,
I don't-
all the ones that use plastic.
Oh,
it's
yeah,
not
okay.
just Keurig.
Keurig is the
But
brand,
you have
but now they're
French
yeah, those are
presses. You
stupid.
have those new ones that are the pour overs. You can have wonderful coffee without
yeah, you don't have to
destroying
have a
the
stupid
earth.
little pod.
You can get now. Some of those do have a removable and a
Yeah.
reusable.
When I traveled, I always
pod.
took a reusable one with me everywhere because so many hotels had those, and I wasn't going to
Right.
waste one of those on my morning coffee. So I
Right.
have a carry-on reusable pod.
Oh, that's good.
Yes.
But
Okay.
anyway, so I'm giving a quick Misty to those who are lessening their carbon footprint. And last of all, I'm giving a big Misty to Marcus Flowers. Do you know who that is?
No.
It's the Democrat that's running against Marjorie Taylor Greene.
Woo!
And he's handsome, he's well-spoken, and he's not crazy.
Well, this brings us to the close of our podcast. So we like to say to share any kind of mystic moments anybody has had this week. Who's had a mystic moment they'd like to share?
I do.
Go
Let's
ahead.
hear.
Someone gave me some turmeric tubers, and I planted them
Ah.
about a year and a couple of months ago. And I was walking by that pot, I think it was like last Sunday, and I thought, I give up. I am going to dump this whole thing in the compost bin and give it some soil today. But I didn't get around to it. The next day I walked out and 2 turmeric tubers were growing. It heard me.
It heard you.
It heard me. I thought, that's pretty
pretty good.
mystic.
And sometimes they bloom, and they are absolutely stunning when they do.
Yeah,
Well,
they're
I-
beautiful.
I really planted more than 2, but only 2 of them heard me. It was so funny. The very next day I went to get the pot, and there they were.
Oh shoot, we better show ourselves. We're in the compost.
I didn't really have a mystic moment, but last night, I went downtown Auburn, and they're having their second season of summer. I don't even know what it's called. Summer music.
From St. Dunstan's.
And they did this at St. Dunstan's Church, and it's public, and you could just bring a chair and a cooler and a dog or a friend and a friend and just sit and listen to music. And last night it was my daughter Emma's music studio, the Mockingbird studio, and her little munchkins, and not all munchkins. Some of them are big and tall and beautiful musicians now. They played, and it was so absolutely transcendently nice to sit in a community that has really embraced this summer series. There are a lot of people there, and just to sit back and listen to the music and see the little kids kind of enjoying getting up and doing a little dancing, and then seeing every age group and multiple demographics and types of people just out there enjoying a public space and enjoying free music. And I just loved it. So if you guys are around Auburn, Alabama this summer, this series goes on Thursday nights at 5:30, and everybody is invited, and it's really fun.
5:30.
5:30 on Thursdays.
Also on Thursdays is the Auburn Farmers Market at the university.
There you go. So you got a busy Thursday.
Marion, do you have a mystic moment?
Well, no, I've already mentioned that my mimosa tree started blooming, but that was sort of when I smelled it before I saw it. I had just commented to John David a few days before, I hope our mimosas aren't dead. And I walked out the other night with the dogs and I smelled mimosa. And sure enough, the next morning I saw the pink blooms.
Mine are wildly blooming over the creek.
Well, I have to be so bold as to say that I'm going to give a Misty to my best mystic moment ever.
Oh, good.
Tuesday, we finally had some rain, and those of you who are gardeners were glad to see it. And Jimmy said, look, and we looked out our back window, which is just all woods, and there under the trees, about 60 feet wide, 20 feet high, was a rainbow.
Wow.
And I brought a
see the
picture, a
picture.
part
It
of
is
it.
under the trees. How
But
fantastic.
I have never seen a rainbow out of the sky.
And she's
But
showing us
yeah.
a picture, and it's
But
amazing.
down in your
there
yard.
it was, and the full bow. You couldn't see it when it disappeared up into the trees,
But it came
but
back
you
down.
could see it where it came back down.
I wish I
That
was
is
sitting
nice.
looking at this.
Oh,
You
it
should
was
have called me.
gorgeous. It
Call
was
me.
absolutely gorgeous.
That is fantastic.
Well, by the time I would have called somebody and come, just that quickly it disappeared.
it would be gone.
That
Because rainbows are
yard-
mystic.
Your yard looks gorgeous too.
Thank you. Well, that's mostly back in there. But yes, I was just. Well, let's see. What's the word I want to say without getting it bumfuzzled? Yeah.
Yeah, be
that's it.
careful with that word.
Yeah, that's right.
So,
Completely
listeners, if you guys have
bumfuzzled
any
by it.
Mysties that you would like to award, just, put them in the comments on our Facebook page or our YouTube channel.
Sure.
And we'd love to hear what Mysties you would be awarding. And, guys, I think it's a wrap. And so, without further ado, we will say, be the flame, not the moth.